Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Relative world has no absolute solution for any problem. And from the absolute standpoint, there is no problem to be solved. All the spiritual practice is migrating from the relative world to the absolute standpoint. This migration is called as spiritual life. Therefore, when Arjuna was crying, how can I fight this war and kill my nears and dears? So, the teacher started his discourse with the first step. One person asked me this question, Swamiji, can you tell me in one word what is spirituality? I said, spirituality is common sense. Again the question comes, what is common sense? Spirituality. See? Like, God is love. Oh, very good. What is love? Love is God. Get confused. So, spirituality is common sense, and common sense is what? Which is most uncommon. That's all. So, the teacher begins. Arjuna's problem was, how can I kill my nears and dears? And he gave a big discourse full of philosophy to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Whenever a disciple talks wisdom to the Guru, understand that is the fall of the Guru. It is not the rise of the disciple, it is the fall of the Guru. Because when the wisdom is digested, it leads to silence. And when the wisdom is not digested, it is vomited out without digestion. Exactly this is what Arjuna did. And therefore the teacher started. Ashocha nanvashochastam prajnavadanscha bhashase gatasuna gatasuscha nanu shochanti panditaha. A wise man is defined. Who is a wise man? We all talk about wise man. Oh, he is very wise. What about others otherwise? See? So, who is a wise man? Gatasura gatasuscha nanu shochanti panditaha. Panditaha, wise man. No anushochanti, they never grieve. They are never miserable. On what count we are miserable? We are miserable on two counts. Gatasuna gatasuscha. Asu means life, prana. When somebody dies, the prana goes away, then the ignorant people cry. And not only they are miserable because somebody dies, they are also miserable when somebody doesn't die. This fellow doesn't die also. See? And the wise one is the one who is never miserable whether somebody is living or somebody is dead. Therefore, what is spiritual life? Be happy. That's all. If this one principle you follow in later and spirit, you have digested Patanjali Yoga Darshan. The yoga, normally what people understand, what is yoga according to Patanjali, it is incomplete understanding. They take only one part of the sutra. Patanjali says, Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. But this is not complete. There is one more statement after that. Yada tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. The quietness of the mind leading to the abidance in one's divine blissful nature is called as yoga. See, friends, our understanding is like the boy. He was very extrovert, all the time watching TV and playing. So his mother told, look here dear, exams are coming. No TV, no Facebook, no Twitter, no news, no movies, no playing. Okay? Till the exams are over. Okay, mom. And results became, he was a total failure. So the mother said, I told you, how could you fail? Mom, I did exactly what you told me. Don't do, I didn't do anything. Then why didn't you pass? Because I didn't study. So what should not be done is not yoga. Chitta vritti nirodha, suspension of thought formation, alone cannot be yoga. Then what is the positive aspect? Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. When we abide in our blissful self, that is the meaning of yoga. See friends, twisting the body is not yoga. Straightening the mind is the yoga. And what are the wrinkles on the mind? See, I was doing my ironing and our Satish Maharaj was telling me how to do it. He is a universal guide. So he was telling me how to do it. So I was doing it. Then I asked him a question. I said, look here, there are so many wrinkles here. Yes. Now I move the iron box. Yes. Now where they have gone? Tell me. Before we move the iron box, there are wrinkles. When we move on that, wrinkles disappear. Now question is where they have gone. See friends, just work on this point. They have gone nowhere. Why? They were never there. See, this common sense, if you work in your life, see, there will be no problem of any kind. Therefore, nanu shochanti panditaha. Wise persons are those who do not cry, who are not miserable. Therefore, those who have studied Gita, like all of you now, you have lost your freedom to be miserable. You may be belonging to a democratic setup, yet now you have no freedom to be miserable. See, friends. Thereafter, the teacher started giving him common sense. Any person can know this. For example, dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra namuyati. You don't have to look outside anywhere. All spiritual life is analyze your own personal immediate experiences, deduct and learn from that. See, how we learn our softwares, computer programs. We don't know how it is working inside. We keep on, hitting this button, that button, something will happen and you learn. And in that accident when you learn something, you never forget it. See, for the first time, earlier I was with Windows. Then I went to doors. Doors means Apple. One child asked me this question from Apple, I remember. Swamiji, what is the difference between orange and apple? I said, well, they are different. Now tell me. I said, I don't know. Oh, simple. Swamiji, orange is orange, but apple is not apple. Orange is orange in color, but apple is not apple in color, isn't it? So, when I shifted to Apple, first time, and I was uploading or taking out, data from my camera, and then one time it came, it did not accept. Hey, what happened? Is a new one, hardly 15 days, something gone wrong, and I was so worried. And when you are worried, the best thing is to go to sleep. So I slept. And when I got up, then in the morning, I thought, hey, maybe I have not deleted the data. And then I went to the trash and deleted the data, and lo, 48 gigs free. I was so happy. Now the question is still there. When you delete the data, where does it go? Do you see outside? Kahan gira? Where it is fallen? No. It is not. It is a virtual reality. Friends, relative life is a virtual reality. It is not an actual reality. See? Virtual reality is useful. Doesn't mean it is real. See? Man is actual reality. Husband is a virtual reality. Useful. See? For cleaning the dishes. See? Doing the lawn mowing. Going to the grocery store. Useful. But not real. See? This man is one, real. Then virtual reality is husband, father, son, brother-in-law. These are all virtual realities. And who is miserable? Husband is miserable. Man is never miserable. Think. The father is miserable. Man is never miserable. The brother is miserable. Man is never miserable. And who are these? These are only virtual realities, not the actual one. When we do not understand the difference between the virtual reality and the actual reality, samsara begins. See, friends. Therefore, the teacher says, analyze your experience. Once, in Varanasi, I was talking to some group, and there was one elderly person, almost 80, not out. And he asked me one question, Swamiji, I am observing you are very constantly and strongly emphasizing, don't talk about your past. Why you are so obsessed with that? I said, okay, let us analyze. Childhood belong to whom? To you or to the body? Body is child. See? Because body is born. We have no experience of our birth. Can somebody tell, I know when I was born? Nobody has the experience of birth. Body is born. Then that body starts growing. So first the body becomes a baby, then a teenager, then a middle age. So the different stages of life, they really belong to the body. But the embodied, he does not have any change. He is the same. 4 experiences none of us have. Number 1, our birth. Number 2, our growth. Number 3, our death. Number 4, our absence. It is not possible. That is why many old people say, Swamiji, can you imagine what is my age? Old people have got this funny thing. One old person came and asked me in a yoga institution in India. I was taking my breakfast. He came from somewhere. He and his wife sat next to me. And I avoid talking. Maximum time we waste in talking unnecessarily. So I was eating. An unknown person asked me this question. Swamiji, can you tell what is my age? Only a mad person can ask such a question. You don't ask to a new person suddenly this question, what is my age? So I looked at him. 3 years. Because such stupid question can be asked only by the kids. He said, no, please tell, really. I said, I don't know. Then he said, do you know, I am 78 years, and he was waiting for me to say old. But I knew his pulse. So I said, oh, you are 78 years young? You are the one who really understood me. Young and old belongs to the body, not to the embodied. Therefore, we never have the experience that we are growing. That we is the real one. and not the bodied one. But whenever we talk about our childhood, when we were children, who cares? And who wants to know? See? There are many simple techniques to keep the old people happy and protect yourself from their miseries. See? One technique I'll tell you. You talk to any old person and ask about their life. And don't listen. Enough. They will keep on talking. Because old people have only the past. Old people have no future. I am telling my story. Ye friends. So the teacher says, as we have discarded our childhood body, have we become anyway miserable or bad? Then we have discarded teenage body, we continue to exist. We have discarded our middle-aged body, we continue to exist. In the same manner, we will discard this wretched old body and we continue to exist. Where is death? Think twice before dying. You cannot die. Swamiji, have you read the book? Which book, sir? Many Masters, Many Lives. The life story of Catherine. You must have read that book. Many of them have read. It's a book written by a doctor, a strong Catholic doctor. And he writes, although I am a born Catholic, very orthodox, after going through the sessions with one of my patients, Catherine, I have come to a conclusion that there is rebirth. Catholics don't accept rebirth. I accept it. And then he wrote a book on that. In this life, I had such and such, body, and it so happened, and the house was on fire, and everything was burned, and then I left out of that body and went away. And then again I was born in Tibet. So, birth and death. Now be attentive. Before coming to Yogaville, I was in Ketchikan, Alaska. Before coming to Ketchikan, I was in Seattle. Before coming to Seattle, I was in Miami. So, did I die? Where did I die? I left one place, went to another place. In the same manner, childhood died, but I continue to exist. According to medical sciences, we change every cell of our body completely every 7 years. So I am 70 years of age. So how many bodies I have changed? 10 bodies. But do we have the experience that I have changed the body? I have the funny notion that it is the same body. But then we are surprised. When I was a child, everybody used to come, lift me up, hug me, kiss me, talk to me. I am the same. I don't know what happened to the people. When they look at me, they take the old newspaper upside down and start reading. I don't know what happened to them. See, friends. This doesn't require any mathematics, chemistry, physics, study, Sanskrit, mantra, nothing. Only be sincere when you analyze your own experiences of life. See, friends, a person who learns from every experience of his life, he grows wise with every experience. And a person who does not learn from the experiences of his life, he grows old and otherwise. Old otherwise people are those who have only complaints about the whole world. Because they are not living in the present. All the time, when we were children, nobody is interested. See, friends. Therefore, Bhagavan tells to Arjuna, come to cognize this. You have gone through so many bodies, like that everybody has gone through. If on the battlefield people will die, so what? They will continue to exist. And yet Arjuna was unable to digest because he was under the influence of the delusion that he is killing this fellow, that fellow, and they are my near and dear, it will be sin. Then how do we do this? Another common sense. He says, now you feel you are miserable because of the battle. It is not true. He gives one example. Any experience that is gathered through the contacts between the sense objects and the sense organs, any experience, let it be giving you joy or sorrows. Every experience begins in time, remains for some time, and ends after some time. Therefore, every experience is temporary. Because of the temporary experiences, to become permanently miserable, is it a wise way of living? See, for example, our lecture began, it will definitely end. And even if it is miserable, never mind, it will end. See? Then what is to be done? See? Any experience, let it be good or bad. See, there is a proverb, what cannot be cured must be endured, is it not? But that is a pessimistic approach. Bhagavad Gita doesn't say that. What cannot be endured what cannot be cured should not be endured, but enjoyed. Conversion of endurance into enjoyment is the creed of Bhagavad Gita. We are not here to suffer. We are the counters to distribute bliss to this world. It is only for this purpose God created us in His image. Can you imagine that God is miserable? See? If God is happiness, and if He has created us in His image, where from the blisters have come in place of the bliss? Blisters are our creation. Bliss is His original thing. See? Therefore, Bhagavan says, don't justify that you are miserable. You cannot be, you should not. And you can never be 24/7 miserable. Try. You cannot. But you can be happy 24/7. It is possible. So why not try what is possible? Why try what is impossible? Has anybody ever tried to fail in the examination? No. We try to pass in the examination, not to fail. Therefore, the teacher says, that which is cannot be destroyed, and that which is not also cannot be destroyed. Therefore, don't become miserable and become disturbed. Thereafter, the teacher tells one foundation. Shift your attention, change your focal length, and the truth will be revealed to you. One day, I was talking to the medical professionals in some college. And whenever I speak the language of those people so that they feel at home. If you are with the softies, talk software language. If you are with the stones and bricks, talk, that's civil engineering language. They feel he's like one of us. So one person asked me, Swamiji, have you done ophthalmology? I said, yes. Then he said, so you are also an eye doctor? I said, yes, I am also an eye doctor. I thought as well you are an eye doctor. I said, but my spelling of my patient is different. Your patient spelling is EYE. My patient spelling is I.com. That is the I. The disease is called as myopia. And we also deal with the myopia. The one who piyam is drunk. He who has drunk the wine of Maya is myopia. And what is Maya? Maya is, be attentive, perception distorted because of the limitations, and taking that distorted perception as real is called as Maya. Now understand it through some example. Our eyes can see only Vibgyor spectrum of light waves, from the violet to the red. Beyond that, human eyes cannot perceive the light waves. And if we insist, what I can see with my eyes, that alone is true. What I have not seen with my eyes, I don't believe. Then we are under the influence of Maya. See? But I don't have faith. I don't believe in faith. Faith is blind. It is only for ignorant people. I want my direct knowledge. So to that person I was telling, I said, look here. Do you remember where from you were dropped in this world? Which was your mother? Somebody told you, this lady is your mother. And you say, Mama started. Do you know? I am that mother whom you believed through blind faith tells, this man is your dad. Do you know that? Our very existence is dependent on blind faith. Friends, faith is always blind. When there is knowledge, faith is not required. See, friends. Therefore, the teacher says, Arjuna, don't go the wrong way of thinking. Then what is all the spiritual life as a seeker we have to do? There are 4 paths. Path of karma, path of yoga, path of devotion, and path of knowledge. All these 4 paths, they are working on the mind. See? And what is the working on the mind? Be attentive. When we interact with the world, there are 3 possibilities. For example, I am talking to you. Now, where is my attention? My attention could be at you. My attention could be at me. Or my attention could be at the quality of my mind. Now let us analyze. If my attention is at you, see, I have been talking to you and you are not changing. I don't know, what should I do? I am putting so much of effort. If my attention is on you, then you should change because of my lecture, I will be perpetually miserable in life. Where God has failed, will I succeed? This is what happens. Many a times people are doing very sincere work and they are frustrated because I have done so much, but nobody appreciates. See? Second thing, attention is ourself, I have done this thing, I have done this thing, I have done this thing. I. The I starts becoming so fat. See? And because of the heavyweight champion, he carries the burden of his own foolishness. See? The intensity and the pernicious poisoning ability of the ego is directly proportionate to the intensity of miseries one experiences. The more miserable you are, the more egoistic you are. The less miserable you are, less egoistic you are. God has no ego. Therefore, Satchidananda Maharaj ki jai. See, friends. Therefore, where is our attention? Now, here is the key of all the spiritual practice. Bhagavan says, Sukha dukkhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo Tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam avapsasi. Hey Arjun, when you are doing anything in this world, what are the possibilities? See, like the software engineers, when they write the softwares, they work only on options. And therefore, software engineers, they have never a stable marriage. Options. Yeah, this is better or that is better. This is better, that is better. They don't like human face. They like only the monitor. See? Options. Only options. So, when we interact, what are the options? Either we will win or we are defeated. First pair of options. Second pair of options. When we win, we gain. When we are defeated, we lose. Second pair of option. Third pair of option. When we gain, we are happy. When we lose, we are miserable. Now the teacher says, whether you win or you are defeated, whether you gain or you lose, whether there is joy or there is sorrow, maintain the equanimity of your mind perfectly well. This is the secret of all spiritual life. The whole Bhagavad Gita talks only of this one principle. Whether it is the path of karma, path of yoga, path of devotion or path of knowledge, all of them are pointing only to this. Take care of your mind. See, friends. And what is the care to be taken? Only this much. Maintain equanimity. See. What is the clear-cut understanding of this equanimity? I'll give an example to make it clear. Once I went to somebody's house for food. It was evening time. And that mother said, Swamiji will have 10-15 minutes more, please wait. I said, okay, anyway, without eating I am not going to go because I am committed to the cause. And then, okay, I will watch TV. So when I wanted to see the TV, she had a son. He said, Swamiji, no TV. I said, okay, no TV. The best way to disagree with anybody is to agree immediately. Try this. No further discussions. I said, okay, no TV. We'll play carom. You know carom? This is a game which is rarely played in this country. In India, they play a lot. So, I said, I don't know that game. I won't play. No, I'll teach you. No, I had to take food in his house. How can I say no? I said, all right. He put it there. And he was so expert, He was taking one after another. Then it became my prestige issue. I am Swami being defeated by a child? What does it mean? And then I started using my spiritual practice. All my siddhis I invoked. And what were the siddhis? When my turn came, I used to ask him, hey, whose picture is that? So when he looks that side, I'll take few of them and put it there. See? Theft is not a crime unless you are caught. See? This principle I learned from Satish. He drives so fast and he tells Swamiji, driving fast is not a crime unless you are caught. See? This is how you gather wisdom from the world. See? And when I was doing this thing, once, twice I did, third time I was caught. And then he started crying, Mummy, Swamiji is a cheat, see what he is doing. I said, come on, don't cry, again we'll do it, okay? And then when he started, I used the same siddhis to make him win. But by the time our game was to be over, halfway we have gone through, the mother said, Swamiji, food is ready. I said, hey, leave it, now let's go and eat food. No, now we have to complete the game. I am now winning, therefore you are afraid. Now be attentive. For him, victory and defeat was an issue, is it not? For me, that playing game was a time pass. Till the food is ready, somehow I have to pass the time. Now take this principle as your life's Maha Mantra. Our life is just a time pass. We have nothing to achieve in this world. We have nothing to lose in this world. We have nothing to gain. There is no loss. This is how the life is. See, this cloth Melanie has given me today. Any cloth, it has got crisscross threads. Can there be a cloth with only one directional threads? Yes, rope. Hang yourself. If it is a cloth, it has to have crisscross threads. In the same manner, life is a matrix of 2 by 2. When I call somebody as beautiful, I have already created awful. When I call somebody as tall, I have already created a short. When I call somebody as intelligent, I have already created a dumb. This is how mind functions, only in complementary pairs of opposite. Mind cannot function if there is only one. Words are many. Absence of words, silence is one. Expose your mind to the silence. The ice of mind will dissolve in the consciousness of waters. This is our experience. If we don't learn from our immediate experience, even God cannot teach us. But when we are functioning by the mind, we are lost in multiplicity. Think, friends. Therefore, yesterday I told, don't work through the mind, work on the mind. Working through the mind is 3 things. Bringing the past, dead past in the present. Second thing, trying to solve those problems of the future which are not there. And in the present, constant comparison. Stop these 3 things. No past, no future, and no comparison. Mind will dissolve. Thereafter, we function in no mind condition. All the great masters, they live in this no mind condition. And to come to this is a simple technique. Don't take life too seriously. Things are happening this way, that way. Sometime it will be heavy rain, sometime it will be very cold, sometime it is very hot. This is how life is. See? Why God doesn't listen our prayers is only because of this. In the summer, there is hot, too much of heat, so we complain, oh God, it is too hot. So He gives us rains. Then it's too much of rains. Oh God, too much of rains. Okay, He gives us winter. Oh God, it's too much of cold. Bhagavan says, anything you give to this fellow, he complains. Therefore, he doesn't listen. Try this technique. This technique I follow in my life. Try. I like chaos and confusion. If you like chaos and confusion, you will never be miserable. If you have to live in Bombay, and if you like traffic jams, you will never be miserable. If you live in Yogaville and have, what is that, AT&T phone, and there is no signal, and you enjoy that, you will never be miserable. See, friends, in short, accept the things as they are. One of the highest spiritual practices, never try to change anybody. Never try to make anybody happy. See? Never try to make anybody happy. Yes. Why? Everybody has a right to be miserable. See? Who are you to make everybody happy? We belong to the democratic setup. My personal freedom. There are some people, they all the time like to be miserable. And if they are not miserable, then there is surprise. Hey, what's wrong with you? You are happy today. See, friends, thus keep the mind at peace. See, friends, be attentive. Desire makes us disturbed. Absence of desire is peace, Shanti. Anger makes us disturbed. Absence of anger is peace, Shanti. Greed makes us disturbed. Absence of greed is Shanti. And therefore, after every mantra, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You may say 3 times, but Shanti is only one. Number 2, when we say absence of desire, absence of anger, absence of greed is Shanti, that does not mean Shanti is an absence. Like darkness is absence of light. And therefore, you cannot study darkness. In physics, we study light, is it not? We cannot study darkness because darkness is an absence. In the same manner, if desire, anger, greed, their absence is peace or Shanti, that does it mean that Shanti is not there? No, it is a positive one. See, friends. And therefore, whatever we are doing or not doing in this world, be at peace. See, friends. Once I was conducting a camp, and the children were in the age group of 9 to 12. And they have organized facilities for 50 students. And suddenly, as if a cloud burst, there were 250 children who registered. And all the arrangements were completely gone. So, every person, what we do, we blame others. This is, blame game is the simplest game. So they started blaming and I was watching all of them. I said, hey, before we start, let us sit together for 5 minutes and we'll discuss something. So we sat. I said, hey, tell me whether this camp is successful or not. What is the parameter? How you will say it is successful or not successful? One student said, it is already successful. So many have come. Oh, cool. The other one, what successful? All chaos. So they were fighting among each other. I said, look here. Now let us define whether this camp is successful or not. Before you undertake anything in your life, are you at peace and cheerful or not? When the business is conducted, during that conduct of the business, are you at peace and cheerful or not? And when the business is over, are you left with the same quality of mind, or you are left with, oh God, next time I shall never do it. If this happens, it is a total failure. See, friends, the most important commodity in this world is our peace of mind. If you keep the whole world on one side of the scale and other side our peace of mind is more valuable. See, because peaceful mind alone is blissful. But the mind which is in pieces is only blistered. Therefore, let us focus attention on this quality of the mind. And this is what the Guru does by giving individual instructions. I told you, one is the general instruction in the satsanga. Second is individual instruction to the individual student, individual disciple. See, it is something like vitamins are given generally. See? But antibiotics are not given to general. Give to everybody. No. Individual case. So, the first thing that the Guru Maharaj does, individual treatment, is the path of karma. See. Now when we are told do seva, what is the catch in this? Be very attentive. When we do good, unknowingly our eye starts becoming fat. Unknowingly. I have done this thing, I have done that thing, I have done this thing, I have done that thing. In that I becomes important. See, this principle I learned from a child. Children are real genius, they can really teach us. I think I told you this. One child was chanting very nicely Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. So after he finished, I was so happy, I gave him one chocolate. I said, hey, take chocolate. He said, I don't want. Said, why? Mom told we should not eat chocolates. I said, but I am telling you, you eat. You may tell, my mom told, don't eat chocolate, I am not going to eat, and I don't want it. That day I discovered, more than the giver, the receiver is important. But we have this arrogance. I have given this, I have done this thing. Analyze. When we were not in this world, was anything lacking? When we will leave and go out of this world, will there be a lacuna? So when our prior absence and posterior absence has no value, our presence, can it have any value? But we have that arrogance. I have done this thing, I have given this thing. Who wants? Come to recognize this principle. See, friends, then how should we live? Only one simple principle. It is our need to serve. The world doesn't need our service. Without us also the world continues. See, friends, then alone, whenever you do anything as your need, you will have humility. You will have submission. Because it is our need. See, take an example to understand this point. Once we were going from New Zealand to Australia. And in the immigration, so many officers are sitting there. And big queue, me and my friend, together we were going. And one of the passengers, he had some argument with the immigration officer. Very hot argument. So immediately police was called and police took him away and the whole atmosphere was tense. And my friend was holding my hand. Swamiji, pray to the Lord. We should not go to that man, He will ask 101 questions. And I said, relax, man, relax. There is nothing. No. Do you have the return ticket? He will ask you. Yours is Indian passport. Mine is okay. But I said, relax. See? Became so tense, so frustrated. And we should not go to him. I said, okay, we will not go. And it so happened we had to go to him. See? And when you are in need to enter that country, what is your behavior? Better than the best. How are you? How are you? Good evening. How are you? Everything is fine? Oh, you look very smart, Because it is your need. In the same manner, live in this world in such a manner that it is our need that we help others. It is our need that we serve others. It is our need that we give. It is our need that we talk. I have come here not because you needed me. It is my need to come and talk to good people. Thank you, Swamiji, you called us good. Because it is my need. See, friends, the day you discover this principle, you have understood the secret of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is not being workaholic. Karma Yoga is not doing too many things. Karma Yoga is not getting lost in planning. Karma Yoga means whatever we are doing, it is our need. Now the next point. We all suffer in our life, never because of shortage of time. We all suffer in our life because of excess of time. Observe this principle. Children never suffer. They have no time. What they are doing is not important, but they are busy. See? And we oldies get up in the morning, another 24 hours, what should I do? Okay, let me go for meditation. And then we go for meditation and sleep. What is this? This is sound meditation. See, like sound sleep, sound meditation. See? Because what to do now? Another 24 hours to live. See? Therefore, when we do something, remember, it is our need. We have to fill in 24 hours a day. Be attentive. If you are not creatively occupied, you will get lost in indulgence. A person who is creatively occupied, he has no time to go and loiter about in this world. And creative occupation not only at the mental, intellectual level, but also at a physical level. We have got three faculties: the body, the speech, and the mind. See, in Valmiki Ramayana, one verse comes. It is one of the most beautiful verses that tells the secret of integral yoga. Hanumanji says this verse: Deha buddhyatu dasosmi jiva buddhyat tvadam shakaha atma buddhyat tvame vaham iti me nishchitamati. This is my clear understanding. He says, when I consider myself to be body, then I am thy servant, O Lord. And a servant with the body serves his creation. This is one spiritual practice. Therefore, serve all, not because all need our service. It is our need to serve. Second thing, speech. Our speech, our tongue, doesn't have any bone in that. Therefore goes on wagging non-stop, unwanted. See? Either condemning others, evaluating others, advising others, because the tongue is not busy. Then what is to be done? Keep the tongue busy in chanting His name. See, I was telling our Malini, I like her only for this reason. She is constantly humming. Whatever she is doing. And then humming is what? He is chanting. I could get her mantra. He was chanting Trambakam Yajamahe non-stop. The mind remains occupied for something higher. Give it a try. Body, serve others because it is our need to serve. Speech, keep on humming His name, glory. Then only the tongue will become pure. And mind, keep on keeping the mind silent. These two techniques, I was in Alaska, we were emphasizing these techniques. I told you also here, again I will tell you, try these two techniques. Simplest, it cannot be simpler than this. Technique number 1, stop talking to yourself. Simplest, most difficult, simplest. Stop talking to yourself. See? And before we talk to others, ask a question. Is it necessary to talk? In 99% cases, the answer will be no. See? Now try next 30 seconds, not much. Don't talk to yourself. But the mind keeps on talking. But Swamiji, are you keeping quiet or you are talking to yourself? See, friends. And before we talk to others, ask only one question. Is it necessary to talk? Quiet. How simple it is. In this mental poise, when we live 24/7, we don't do meditation. Then we start living in meditation. Meditation is not a military drill. Half an hour meditation, rest of the day frustration. No. Meditation is 24/7. Never frustration, only cheer and happiness. See? Therefore, this is the foundation of the whole spiritual practice. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. So the karma yoga is that whatever we are doing is not because we are too much occupied, therefore we are karma yogi. No. Karma yoga is not the yoga of action, but it is the yoga in action. See? And thus, when the karma does not create the result, then it is karma yoga. Be attentive. Action plus doership is equal to karma. Is a rule. Like, a paper we sign, but it becomes a deed if it is authenticated. If the paper is there, but if it is not signed and notarized, It doesn't become a deed. It doesn't become an official document. In the same manner, action plus doership is equal to karma. If there is action and there is no doership, there is no karma. And if there is no karma, there is no karma phala. There is no result. There is no sin. There is no merit. See, I don't observe any fast. I eat 3 times a day. Because my principles are little abnormal. I am abnormal Ananda. My principle is keep the stomach full and head empty. Many times people keep their stomach empty and head full. All the time thinking about eating. But on is in a fast day, can we take the fruits and the milk and ice cream and this thing? So instead the food going in the stomach, it goes in the head. See? So, one Ekadashi day, there was, some place I was taking food. So, all other ammas were standing and watching. That is the most pathetic experience that we go through. They give you first food, so that they observe, if this Swami survives, then others can eat. So the food is given. And all of them watch like a guinea pig, So, then I took, that chapati bread, put it into the dal, liquid, sabji, achar, everything I took. And then when I was taking it to my mouth, I opened my mouth, but my attention was at their faces. Their faces become identification. And when their face became so the one who has got a wide mouth, I called, I said, Mama, please come. So she came. And when she came, I said, first, I offer it to my beloved Krishna, therefore please you take. Now she was so overwhelmed, she took it. Swamiji loves me. It is not love. It is only to protect myself. To see whether it is eatable or not. Paid somebody like that. No love. And after I gave her, then after that everything was over, then she goes, Swamiji, I'm sorry. Oh no, what will happen? I said, what happened? See, today is Ekadashi and I am not supposed to eat food. And you fed me and I have eaten food on Ekadashi. Now what will happen? I said, nothing. You will go directly to hell, non-stop flight. Be attentive. I have eaten food. Eating action plus I, the doership, is equal to karma. And then it will be merit or sin. But after taking the food, do we have that notion, I am digesting the food? We don't have that notion. I am digesting. Therefore, if there is a constipation, it is a sin. If there is a dysentery, it is a merit. No. Because I is not associated with action. Therefore, what is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is that action where I is not associated. Is it possible? Yes. Change the language. In our English grammar, there are 2 voices. Active voice and passive voice. I eat the mango. In this sentence, I is important. It is a subject. Mango is secondary. It's an object. So make it a passive voice. The mango is eaten. By whom is not important. In the same manner, I have done this thing. There I becomes prominent. Make it a passive voice. Hey man, job is done. Doesn't matter who has done it. Slowly this I virus will start getting attenuated. And this is the way. Then only our mind will remain at peace. Because success will not make us arrogant. And failure will not make us miserable. Because I was not involved with the action. Action was important. See, this is the last message Bhagavan gives in the 18th chapter. Yasya nahang kruto bhavaha buddhi yasya na lipyate hatvapi sa iman lokan na hanti na nibadhyate. He who does not have this arrogance of doership, he has no sin or merit in his life. He transcends both of them. It is for this purpose that the Guru tells every individual seeker a typical particular type of work. Not that he needs us, it is for our evolution. So many times you must have come across certain things we don't like. Exactly that thing is given to us. You do this. Oh God, I don't like it, I hate it. It comes to you. See? I don't take milk and milk products. Once I was sitting with my Swamiji, and a big full glass of milk. Somebody gave him, he just tasted one sip. He didn't like it. He said, oh, useless, you take it. He gave me. And there was one lady standing there and she wanted to say something. So you have seen my wooden khadao. So I crushed her feet. I said, stop, don't talk anything. And then I drank that whole glass of milk. First time, after more than 40, 50 years. After everything was over, that lady came. Swamiji, when we give you milk, you don't take. But when Swamiji gave, you took. I said, are you comparing yourself with Swamiji? I said, the purpose for him is, maybe he has discovered that I was developing arrogance. I don't take milk at all. I am a vegan. And therefore he has given. See, don't try to evaluate the instructions given by the Guru. If we evaluate, we are not fully surrendered. Do the things, whether we like or we don't like. Then only the Guru has appeared in our life at the subjective level. Because the ego is here. Guru also has to appear here. And in the presence of the Guru, the light of ego disappears. Like in the darkness, these glowworms shine so bright. But the moment the day comes, where do they disappear? They don't disappear. Their light is insignificant. In the same manner, when I alone is very, very strong in the darkness of ignorance. But when the light of the Guru comes in our life, our I is there, but is insignificant. This is the way that we can be benefited by his instructions. Let us follow him in letter and spirit and allow him to descend in our heart. Because the problems are in the mind. Where the problem is, there the medicine should go. In the same manner, if the problem is in our mind, the Guru must descend in our mind only. And the Guru can descend in our mind if that place is worthy of descent. If it is full of garbage of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, desire, anger, greed, frustration, envy, jealousy, in that dirty mind, the divine in the form of the Guru cannot descend. It is for this purpose that Karma Yoga is done, to purify the mind for the reception of the divine presence as Guru in our personal life. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank God the lecture is over.